I have some special flutes headed for the website this weekend. These are bass flutes, so they're really low. I'm going to leave a link in the description to each of these flutes, so if you see one in this video that you just love, you can go ahead and click through and buy it. You can also click through and look at more pictures of it and read about it. So I want to tell you a little bit about bass flutes. I have both C and B headed for the website. C is a little higher pitch than B. It's also a little bit smaller, but they are both 1.25 inch bore diameter, so they're real big around. For comparison, the key of F and the key of F sharp, the key of G, and the key of A are in a 7/8 bore diameter, which is, you know, considerably smaller around than this. So you can see if you line the flutes up at the thimble holes, which is where the fingering holes are measured from, that the hole spacing on the C this is the C, is higher up on the flute and a little bit easier to play than the B. I would not recommend either of these keys for people that are just starting out unless you have experience with other instruments. This is a pretty big stretch. You can see that we do group the fingering holes, so we're trying to basically cluster them rather than having them all spread out on the body of the flute, which makes them a little bit easier to play, but this is a pretty big reach. It could potentially be uncomfortable for some people's hands and wrists, depending on their dexterity. So this is kind of a more advanced flute just based on its size. This one is a poplar low C. This is a poplar is a hardwood technically, but it's a fairly soft hardwood. So it has some of the qualities of a hardwood and some of the qualities of a softwood. I think that it has a very resonant sound to it. And it has this beautiful kind of green stripe down the middle. And you can kind of see on either side here that it's lighter, and then it has this dark green stripe down the middle, as well as and you'll have to take a look at the pictures on the website to really see this, but there's a lot of color in this wood. It's not just a plain tan. It has these kind of stripy marks, really beautiful dark mark here. So it's very beautiful. And these all are going to have the kind of more decorative low profile block. They are just too big to have a bird block on there. I feel like the bird blocks kind of get knocked around a little bit too much on flutes that are already this big. So let me play this guy for you. This one in particular has what I call a tonk on the top note, which means that if you push a little bit more air pressure through, you can get an additional note. It's kind of like overblowing, but a little bit different. So I think that that's a feature. Some people might not like that, but on this particular flute, it's very controllable, so you can have kind of a bonus note, which is really cool. So I have 3 C's heading for the website. 2 are iron stained cedar. This is one of them, and 1 is that poplar. And then the low B flutes are both western red cedar. So here's another low C. Has the iron stain on it. You can still see the lovely grain pattern through the stain. The This is a lighter weight flute. It's actually, even for its size, is pretty easy to hold. Cedar is a soft wood, so it will dent more easily. Keep that in mind if you were thinking of getting one to travel with. You might want to invest in a hard case. We don't sell them, but you can buy them on the Horizon Flute store. They make a really good hard case. So let's play this one. This one has like an exceptionally deep and full low note. Yeah, I really like the way this one sounds. They all sound super good though. Here's the other low C. This one has a little bit more of a bold grain pattern than the one I just played. Let's see if you can see it. Yeah. It's got this really cool kind of V pattern down the middle here. And then, yeah, just, I really love this stain. The iron stain that we use is a vinegar steel wool stain, so it's really natural, and it just reacts to the tannins that are naturally in the wood. So when you put it on, it's clear, and then it darkens as the flute dries, and each flute is different. So even between these two, the color of the stain, one is a little bit more, this one is just a little bit more kind of gray black, and then this one is a little bit more of a warm tone to it. It's so cool to see the difference from flute to flute, because you never quite know what they're gonna look like. Oh, I really like this one too. I'm just so partial to these low flutes. They have such a nice sound. Again, this is a softwood flute, so would be good to protect it. Oh, the low B's. Here we go. These are both really huge flutes. If you want to look at measurements, I have the measurements of all of the flutes. If you click through to the actual product, over to the right hand side of the screen, there's a little tab that says measurements, and you can drop that down and it'll tell you the actual measurements. We'll measure the full length, and then I measured the whole spacing on it, so you can kind of take a look at that and then see whether you think you'll be able to play it. I personally don't think they're that hard to play, but I have very flexible hands. The B is definitely more of a stretch. And this one in particular has, this hole on the flute is just a bit larger. And I have pretty small fingers, and I can still cover it, but it might be a consideration for some people, particularly because you're already stretching to reach. This particular flute is book matched, which means that when we mill the wood, it's a flat piece of wood like this, it's milled in half, and then we go like this, like a book. So the top has a mirrored pattern, and the back has a mismatched pattern. And this one in particular, it shows more because it had a light area in the grain. This is just a different way to mill wood. It can create some really beautiful patterns on the flutes. Some of the other ones are book matched as well, but you can't even tell necessarily unless they have the contrasting grain like this one does. Let's play this guy. These are so fun. last but not least, another Western Red Cedar low B. This one is also book matched. You can kind of see particularly down here where there's these little V's made by the, well, you can't see that at all in the video, can you? I can't see it. Has really nice grain pattern. Holes are all pretty uniform on this one. I like the voice a little bit better on this one. Has maybe a slightly richer low note. But yeah, there are my low B's and low C's. So head over to the website and take a look at the pictures of those, and you can read more about them and you can buy them. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful.